Another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendo. Thanks a lot for joining us at the start of another week. Hopefully a week that's a little better than the last. Nigerians experienced a very turbulent week, considering how the economy had continued to tank. Whether you're talking monetary or fiscal policies, most people don't seem to understand where the country is headed. We saw what's happening with the Naira, almost hit 2,000 at a point, but today we hear it's about 1,005. We don't know what Monday is going to bring, which is when the truth always comes out. We're going to be talking about the economic hardship and the fact that pockets of protest have already started to appear in certain cities across the country and what it means for the future of Nigeria. I'm joined here now by Adeyemi Jimo and Fola Daniel. Thanks a lot for being here today.
Thank you so much, Ebuka.
Welcome back, Fola. Let me start with you now, because we've seen so many statistics and data rolled out by the MBS in the last couple of weeks, and I think seeing the inflation figures was particularly scary. Even though, as scary as it is, most people say it's even higher if we're talking in real terms. I think we hear that it's about 29.9% inflation. Food inflation is even higher at about 35%. Most people say it's probably close to 40. If anybody's going to the markets and seeing what the price of goods in the last couple of months and all of that. A lot of people continue to talk about the central bank. And it doesn't look like Nigerians seem to understand the difference between monetary and fiscal policy and the role of government outside of the CBN to start fixing these things. What are your thoughts on where we are? We don't seem to hear a lot from the Ministry of Finance. At least we haven't heard from them a lot in the last couple of weeks. The MPC is coming up in a couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on where we are and what it's looking like?
I think that we're not ready to make the right decisions and we're just shifting the blames. We're currently still playing the blame game. That's why we're here. If we're ready to do exactly what we want to do, and I thought about it and I said I was going to ask you a question. Take, for example, what kind of phone do you use? Don't answer the question. But you see, I just know that it's not made in Nigeria. And until we come back to what are we using, what are we consuming, and where is it from? If we don't take that thing back to the basis, then we're not going to get out of this situation. So we're in this problem, and the reason we're going to keep talking about central bank is because we just believe that the central bank can make a decision and it will give us the leverage over the dollar. It's not going to happen. The only thing that will happen is that we have to do something. And that's the other part that I have a problem with. Nigerians also feel that the president will just take a decision and all of a sudden, Naira will go up, dollar will come down, or they will be at par. It's never going to happen. You know how we're going to get out of this mess? We're going to produce, we're going to export. If we don't produce and we don't export, forget it. We're still going to be in this mess for a while. The only other way around it is some policies that the Senate, the House of Assembly, the National Assembly as a whole can work on. For example, make sure that we limit a lot of the things that we're still importing that we don't need or can produce in Nigeria. The moment some people will start shouting because some people import those things, that's their own business. They would feel highly impacted by that decision. However, it's going to benefit a lot of Nigerians to say, okay, why are we importing clothes when we have a dire? Why are we importing clothes when we can manufacture here in Nigeria? Why are we bringing in food when we can produce food? Why is it that we don't have enough food in Nigeria? It's because a number of people have left the farms. When the government can do irrigation, you don't have to wait for rainy season to plant.
But just to counter that a bit now, a lot of these things you're talking about, let's even zero in on agriculture, which every government, at least I know, we all did Operation Feed the Nation. We read all of these things in school. These are not things that started today. But people will tell you today that, at least with agriculture, for example, there's not going to be a headway without fixing something like security. We've seen what's happened in the last couple of years, where there's been what government likes to call bandits, who have continually made food production, distribution, and supply a problem. So even if people want to go back to the farms, how safe are they going to feel?
In this same country, somebody who was head of state said that if a crisis, insecurity lasts more than 24 hours, the government knows about it.
So you're saying it still rests with the government?
Exactly. So as far as I'm concerned, insecurity is not a big deal at all. If we want to solve that problem, we can solve it. If we want to deal with them, we can deal with them. However, we need to be tougher on ourselves than we are. If we don't become tougher on ourselves, we're not going to get out of this crisis.
Let me come to you, Ademi, now, because you mentioned a lot about production there, and a lot of people hear that but think this seems very long term. You know, you're not going to suddenly become a producing nation overnight. We've seen countries do it, especially the Asian tigers, like we like to call them, who over a couple of decades turned around their economies. But Nigeria cannot, as it is, wait for that long. What sort of short to medium term things can government start thinking about? I mean, we've seen figures thrown around. 23 trillion naira was allegedly thrown into Ways and Means. Most people have not heard of Ways and Means until the last presidency. You know, we're hearing all of these terms and starting to understand what's gone wrong. Are those things going to fix things in the short to medium term, you think?
So, Ebuka, to be candid with you, I won't say there are any short fixes, because short fixes are just temporary. And like he said earlier, trying to solve most of these issues, once you're able to do that, it comes back after several months. It's not something that's always sustainable. So I think I'll just have to agree with him on what he said, that the solution to most of these issues we have is actually trying to fix our production problem. We have a massive production problem, and if we can't fix that, no short-term solution will even translate to medium or long-term solutions. And I'll just break it down further. The same agricultural products we're talking about, we have the crops and the likes. It's interesting that a lot of grains that we actually use to plant here are being imported. So one way or the other, everything is still burning back to an FX problem. So that's why when you see these issues of FX coming up, you see the likes of agri-products having serious issues. Everybody's saying the price of producing this grain is up, the price of doing that is up. So one thing we have to look at is actually trying to tackle those problems. Yes, it might seem steep, it might seem long-term, but the major solutions to what we are having now is just to try and fix those problems. If we are overly reliant on, say, importing everything from abroad, there are no short fixes, there are no long fixes, there's no medium-term fixes. We'll continue to bottle down to the same problems we've been having. We just tend to fix it for the short term. In 3, 4, 5, 6 months, the same thing happens. A critical example is what happened when they banned rice and we had local production coming into play. That was not sustainable. They first came in, then we saw them trying to compete with foreign investors with the price of local rice that should have been cheaper. Moving up higher, we saw it competing with those of foreign produced rice. We saw at one point it went from 7,000 to 12,000, up until 30-something thousand. It became very unattractive. So if our local markets are being unattractive, I don't think there are any fix. So in order to actually tackle these issues in the short term, we need to put in place means and measures to ensure that most of these things we're doing are produced locally. And then for the pricing, I think there should be a kind of price control board. Yes, we have the commodity board that they said we're going to come in, but if there's supply deficit, I don't know what the commodity board is coming to control. So I think if we're able to actually tackle that, it will go a long way to helping us. Like I said, it's not really a short-term solution, but if we can tackle that from the grassroots and bring it up, in, say, mid to long term, we'll see the impact of these things we're talking about.
There's been controversial opinions talking about the fact that, you know, the ban on importation of certain foods needs to be lifted, at least in this short term, because of the food crisis we're witnessing. We keep hearing, we're going to open the National Grain Reserve. I don't know where the grains go to because nobody ever really sees them. You know, so are those things that are those going to help? Because there's also the counter argument that, well, if you open up the borders again and say food can come in, what does it do to local production? But when there's no food and when pricing has become as scary as it is, what are your thoughts on, you know, something like that helping in any way?
Okay, so for me, trying to lift the ban on importation, I would just say it's a two-edged sword, and I'll just put it in two ways. Fine, in the short run, banning it might be a temporary solution while we try to put in place means and measures to sustain our local markets. So if we don't have the required supply, we have excess demand, there's no way we won't have issues we're having. There's no way inflation will not come up, because it's a simple demand and supply logic. Demand is high, supply is low. What will definitely happen is the price will go up. So I'll say in the short run, just we can open the borders while we try to tackle our in-house problem. Fine, people might say, some people are for the argument of closing the borders, trying to sustain what we have now. But I'm like, whilst you're trying to actually fix your local markets, we can open the border. It can be for a short term, it can be for a short period of time. Have it in mind, or be conscious and be and make good effort about that. Okay, this particular thing I want to achieve it in 3 months. I want to achieve it in 6 months, and after 6 months, I close it. We should be self-sustaining by then. Not just picking it. We need intentionality in order to carry it out. So once we're able to do that, I think opening, closing the border would not really be an issue, because once we're able to sustain our local markets, then we won't have to talk about opening or closing the border, because our markets will be way more attractive than even the foreign markets.
But let's talk about this Naira now, because we all grew up at a time when if the Naira appreciates by 20 Naira over a year, it's a big deal. Now it's happening by the hour, pretty much. Like I said, it got to about 1,009 at some point last week. Today I'm seeing 1,005. The CBN governor continues to insist that the Naira is undervalued. But there are also people who say it is overvalued still and should probably get to about 2,500, 3,000 Naira. Nobody seems to know what the situation is. This 1,005, I'm not sure if it's a fluke or if it's a real thing. So maybe two questions here. What is happening now? And what does the Naira look like? Because yes, inflation is one thing, but as the Naira continues to depreciate, purchasing power continues to sink, doesn't it?
Okay, so two quick things. Before I come to the Naira, let me also take you back a bit on the food stuff. You see, I don't think that the problem is that we're not producing enough in this country. Take, for example, I lived very close to a food market for several years, and I realized that if you talk to the northerners, they'll tell you that the bigger problem is storage. So if you see 2 trucks of food coming to Lagos, more than 6 trucks are wasted in the north. If you see 10 trucks coming to Lagos, more than 20 trucks are wasted in the north. So what we need to be doing is to create storage facilities for this food and put in place the transport infrastructure. Storage and transport, which are 2 things that we can simply partner with China to make happen. Now, if the guys who are producing, they know, for example, have you ever wondered why you buy bananas and the moment you take them home, you realize that under 2 days it's almost spoiling? But this thing has been at the supermarket for weeks or for days. It's not getting spoiled. It remained fresh. What happened? It came home and in 2 days it's spoiling. It's because those guys at the supermarket know the proper refrigerating range for it. So they can keep it in that state for weeks. There are experts who know the appropriate range, temperature for all the various food items, fruits, whatever it is, and they can keep it refrigerated for weeks. So we need storage and we need transport. Now back to the Naira, where we have a power play here. And the power play is, first of all, internal and the other one external. Don't forget that the crisis, the inflation we're experiencing is not just in Nigeria. UK officially has declared recession. And unfortunately, we keep importing. We keep taking from them, and there is more demand. People are going to go to school very soon in April, and there's another school season. And UK is an economy that depends absolutely on a lot of foreigners coming into their country to come and study. Where do those people get money from? They will go to the banks and ask for pounds. Those are going to the US will go to the banks and ask for US dollars. So the excessive demand for the foreign currency within Nigeria, excessive demand for something we don't produce, is the major problem that we're having to deal with. And a way around it is very simple. Number one, if we fix our schools and a lot of people don't have to go abroad to go and study, we're going to reduce the demand for dollars for foreign education. If you fix our hospitals and people don't have to go to Germany, go to, where do they go to again for India. Medical care? India, go to Italy, go to wherever it is, France, anywhere that people go to for medical care, and stay back in Nigeria, we will reduce the demand for dollar or for foreign currency to go. Now, if we produce, for example, why are government officials still driving Toyota? Why are government officials still driving Lexus? Why are they still driving Mercedes-Benz? When you can go to Innocent, when you can go to Nord and tell this guy, look, we would even partner with you and make sure that there's a factory of Innocent in every region of this country. Okay. So that every government official drives an Innocent or any other car that is manufactured in Nigeria. It should be the official. Go to India.
We hear all this, but
Indians drive Tata.
Tata is
I hear you, but
Go to
you know,
Germany.
when you hear all this, and it looks like government continues to say this, buy Nigerian, but government doesn't seem to follow that particular statement, you know.
But it's the solution
We've
right
even
now.
heard allegations about certain governors who receive their allocations from the federal government and quickly convert to dollar before even doing anything. So all of that is by the way. We've seen the raid on BDCs this past week, which found a lot of people were confused. I mean, the new regulations are out. Makes sense, right? If you're going to deal in currency exchange, you should be properly regulated. But are those raids having any effect, you think, on what's happening? Was it the right way to go?
So for me, I don't think it was the right way. So I'll just try to break it open. So I don't think it was the right way because I feel that most of these BDCs that they were ready were the monsters that they created in the first place. So these things were not thoughts that started. It did not just start yesterday. It has been going on for a while. So you coming out to read that they are the major cause of the rise in the dollar, and I would not wholly agree with that because, like I stated earlier, there is a supply gap, and if the banks, the CBN, cannot actually meet that supply gap, every other person goes where they can easily get it, and that's the BDCs. Yes, now the measures that they brought in to regulate the BDCs are good, but I used to work. I'd done some works with BDCs before. I'm like, it's like going back to the normal status quo before, because the way it worked before was we had the central bank give the BDCs USD, they regulated the market. But one problem we have is we just come out to regulate in the short term, and in the long term we lose sight of it. If they were properly regulated back then, we won't fall into the current crisis that we're falling into now. Then we had BDCs collect 20, 40,000, if I'm not correct, every week, and they had to resell. We saw a lot of them actually sell above what the market was meant to do, making abnormal profits. My question now is, where was the regulations then? Where were the policies then? Where was the CBN in clamping down on those BDCs at that point in time? Why is it now that everything is coming up, you're coming out to arrest the BDCs? So I don't think it was effective because during that raid, what we noticed was we saw the price of USD actually move up. It was during the raid we saw it move from 1.7, move up to 1.8, move up to 1.9, and that's because the supply gap at that point in time was having issues. What happened? The few people that can sell to you will start to inflate their prices too, because it's a basic demand and supply issue. So I think that's what really happened at that point, and I think the current policies that the CBN brought in, if properly implemented, should
make some difference.
Yeah, not so much, but yeah, a little bit.
Very, very quickly, because we're out of time now. Should we be worried about these pockets of protests we're seeing?
Well, I think that the protests wouldn't make much difference because if I may say something quickly about the BDC, before the CBN was a regulator and equally a player in one way. Now they are becoming a real regulator. So I think that the protests some people would capitalize the protests and do some damages. I fear that might happen. So we need to be very careful. The protest, everybody has a right to protest, but I don't think that it will make much difference in the scheme of things. The policies are tough.
But isn't that a reflection of the actual mood of people?
That's what I'm saying, that we're just going to shout, but it's not going to make a difference. The real difference would be, number one, government has to come up with tougher sanctions for all of us, not just for the people, not just for some states. It has to be something that cuts across board. Take, for example, if you're asking us to, bear with you, let us see that you're also cutting the cost of governance. If you're asking us to bear with you, let us see that you're not importing a 300 million, 500 million naira worth of car. If you're asking us to bear with you, let us see that you're not traveling excessively. So while the protests will not make much of a difference, let us see that the government is cutting costs and doing the needful to make sure that we're looking less at importing and looking more at using what we have.
But I hear this, right? But the truth is, like I said, these protests, the guy on the street doesn't understand. I mean, they probably understand.
Yeah.
But when you're hungry, right, it doesn't matter what the statistics are or what government is doing. They're thinking of the immediate. And we've seen it happen all over the world, where protests come out of nowhere and takes over the nation. We're hoping that doesn't become the case here. But the truth is, people are hungry, and a hungry man, like they say, is an angry man, right? Which is why I asked about short to medium term. We see constant increase in duties, for example. The customs are having a field day, pretty much. We're here in the Mycene Group subsidy in electricity. The one on fuel is already gone. So it's like every day there's more scary news for the Nigerian, right? So these are things that, government has to be able to do something at this point.
Yeah, so let me just respond to what you said. So for the first one, the removal of subsidy on, say, electricity tariff, the increase in price. So one thing I want to point out before I cover that is we have a problem, and the problem now is regulation. Fine, we say inflation is at 29.9%. But if you're to go into the markets, talk to the real market people out there, we can see the inflation out there is above even the 35% that we're seeing, like as Nigeria, because you're buying a crate of egg, you used to buy it for 2,000 to 1,500, now it's about 4,500. A pack of noodles have gone up to 12,000. And this price, it keeps increasing every day. So if we have to follow the normal statistics, then you have to just look at that something is wrong somewhere. Yes, we agree that we have FX issues, we have the constant increase in price of the FX, we have the supply chain issue in terms of transport, increased cost of transport. But one thing now is what measures are the government actually putting in place to actually watch or streamline the activities of even these manufacturers? Because in a way, I feel some of these prices are usually overbloated because say a price of something cannot just gain 300% and you go and attribute it to FX gains or the price of transport. Something is wrong somewhere and someone is benefiting from it, directly or indirectly. So one thing they should do is look into those sectors. We have so many parastatals, so many agencies that are allegedly meant to look into those. The question now is, what are those people actually doing? Because we have this price explosion everywhere. What you have expected from a proactive government is they go out there, they look at those issues, that's what is actually going on, what is actually triggering this price. How can we help bring it down? Because
in fairness to what you just said, I saw FCPC, that's the Federal Consumer Protection Agency. I don't know if that's the correct abbreviation now, but they were out in Abuja during the week and they actually locked down a particular store for price gouging. So something that was supposed to be sold at a particular amount, it was more than 300% increase, and FCCPC was actually out to make sure that that store was locked. However, there's a limited thing that FCCPC can do. Because if I tell you I got it at this rate and I'm selling at this rate and I can prove it, there's nothing you can do about that. For some issues, you may be able to prove it that no, it's not possible you got it at this rate and then tell me that's you must sell at this place. Mr. Fano, the revered gentleman who is a legal luminary, is also in court or trying to say that federal government needs to regulate prices. Price regulation is going to be very difficult, and it's going to be extremely difficult actually, because you don't know where I got mine from. And that's what is happening with cement. For example, somebody said in the morning price of cement was like maybe 5,000 naira. In the afternoon, it went to like 7,000 naira. In the evening, it went to like 9,000 naira. And it was the same store, not another place, the same store, the same customer. So we can argue about price regulation from the federal government, but I think there's a little they can do in that regard. We can say FCCPC should come in, but I can tell you I got my own from the UK, I got mine from the US, and if I say I got it there, and you talked about immigration, you talked about customs, if I tell you how much I paid on customs duty to bring this thing in, and I have to add that to my market, what are you going to do about that? So again, I think it comes back to let's look inward. Let's eat, because Nigerians also have a tendency of just adjusting and everybody just moves on. Let's look inward. What can let's produce locally, which we're already doing. The food that is wasting, and I can tell you food is wasting in the north. Let's find a way to make sure that it no longer wastes. Bring it down south, bring it to the west, bring it to south, where they need it, and let's consume what we need locally.
I think very, very quickly now, final word. Forecast for the rest of the year, economically. I want to make it a villain today.
Okay, so I don't know. Personally, for me, the forecast for this year is quite shaky. So looking at inflation, yeah, we see it's not something we are going to curb instantly. We still expect inflation to maintain its normal rates, pending when we're able to see something tangible from, say, the government to actually rein these inflationary measures in. MPC's meeting is open. I think it's holding tomorrow. Yeah. We are waiting for the outlook on, and we've seen the CBN actually try to control liquidity in markets. If you look at several auctions that happened, we've seen them actually rein in so much money. So I don't know. For me, the outlook is quite bleak for now. But I'm expecting that if the right measures are being put in place, we should be able to rein inflation down slightly. And by that, I mean majorly food inflation, if they're able to tackle those issues that we mentioned earlier. So and food inflation is the major cause of the issues we're having, because that contributes the highest. So if we're able to tackle that and tackle it, I think we should be fine as a country.
Well, thank you very much, Fola, Daniel. Thank you very much, Adeyemi Jimoh.
Thank you so much.
I guess the message is buckle up, Nigerians. We're in for a very long ride in 2024. We're going to take a quick break now, and we will be right back. Please stay with us. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove. Now it's time. Welcome back. Let's take a bit of a breather now from the grim stories about Nigeria's economy and move on to social media influencing. If you are a social media follower, especially if you have an account on Twitter, or as we call it now, X, you probably know my next guest. He's quite, for want of a better word, notorious for how he carries himself on Twitter, or X, as it's called these days. Daniel Regha is here with me. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
You're very welcome. I think I want to start, just to understand you a bit, like your backstory, what's your growing up like, education, before we got to know you on social media.
Well, my background, backup story, I'm from Delta State, Nigeria. Growing up was very regular Nigerian for me, like regular Nigerian.
You grew up in Delta?
Yeah, I grew up in Delta.
Okay.
But I was in between states, so it's not like I just based in Delta. But my childhood experience was just normal, regular, everyday, day-to-day activities, nothing special. Played a lot, made friends, lost friends. I think that was one of the things that kind of shaped me to who I am today. So I kind of like know when I speak from perspective of people that are going through things or things I've experienced. Now it's like I'm trying to read other people's story and make up my own. So whatever I put online or whatever I go through is something I actually experienced in life.
Yeah. So when did you move to Lagos, and what made you relocate to this part? Was it work? Was it school?
I never said I relocated.
Okay, so you don't live here yet?
I live in between states.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm in Lagos, sometimes in Delta, sometimes I'm in Edo State, sometimes I'm in Anambra. So it's kind of like the kind of work I do. So I don't have like a specific place I stay, and I don't think I can like move to Lagos for now, because the environment is just not conducive enough for me.
Yeah. So what is this work that keeps moving you around? A lot of us need to find this work. What do you do that makes you sort of move on?
I think I won't disclose that. I won't disclose that for now, but I'm gainfully employed, self-employed anyway. I'm self-employed, so the kind of job I do mostly is kind of some school activities, and I still have some offline things I do, like part-time chefing, and some other in-betweens.
Is there school activities? You're in school? Or you're teaching?
No, I'm done with school, but there's some things I did in school, like help people print textbooks and the rest of them. So I kind of like maintained some of my customer base, and people that I knew before were kind of like referring other people to me. So the ones I can't do, I recommend other people to do it.
So you have like a printing business?
Yeah, not like a printing, but I do work with some printing, cyber cafe and some printing press.
Oh, okay, where did you school?
National Open University.
National Open University,
yeah.
Okay. What did you study?
Accounting.
Accounting. When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2018. I did my conversion 2019.
Okay. What was your attraction to accounting? Was there a reason why, or was it like many Nigerians, that's what they give me?
No, actually, I wanted to I wanted to study. I was going for a line of architect, right? So when I kind of like applied, the school said there was nothing like that there. So my second best option was accounting, and I just, let me just do it instead of waiting for that jam or taking another post-UME or any other course.
Okay.
So it was easy for me to do.
So when did this Twitter, because I have a lot of influencers who come on this show, which is why I'm trying to get a background, because some people happen on it. It just so happens that they find themselves over time become influencers. Some people are intentional with it. So I wanted to know your background and then now ask, how did this Twitter sort of notoriety start for you?
Well, it said, before I came on Twitter, I was kind of dominant. I was a very heavy user on Facebook, right? So I think one of the things that actually pulled me into the social media scene was BB Nigeria in a way. I'm not going to lie about it. I was more into this Pepper Them season. And sometimes I was like, oh.
That was in 2019?
2019, I think, yeah. So I was more into BB Nigeria season, and during that time, Titans were like, they were on my neck, they were doing a lot of things. So I felt like, they were kind of like reporting my account back then, and Facebook was giving me shadow ban. Let me just try something else. So I came on Twitter, I opened the account, but I was not active there. The social media space was kind of confusing for me. So I left back and went back to Facebook. So I came back to Twitter. I was like, let me just be here for them, just take a break of like 3 months and just learn this and learn everything about this platform. And I came here and I came to Twitter and I was just like doing my regular thing. I didn't even like plan to be a social media influencer. I just know that people started giving me attention. I just like, okay, I think people like what I'm doing or something. And that was not, it's not as if like I planned to do it, or it's not something like I was like, okay, let me just put out this thing, yes, people are going to react. So I just lived my truth and people just went along with it. And brands started reaching out to me, I want to work with you. I'm like, okay, let me see if this brand is, if this thing can work with me. And to the glory of God today is kind of like, I mean, at least I'm here today now as an influencer.
So you started off, at least you got known for responding to either celebrities or people who were famous, responding under their posts, and, you know, for want of a better word, trolling them. You know, when do you remember when the first one happened? And maybe you went viral, and like you said, you noticed it was working, and you decided to do more of that.
My first viral post, I don't think I can remember that, but I think I can remember one of the first people that kind of like, yes, I remember the first person that actually like gave me the first, will I say clap back or something? I think it has to do with, it has to even do with Suleiman. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. It has to do with Suleiman because there was a time when Apostle Suleiman. Yeah,
Apostle Suleiman.
Apostle Suleiman. Yeah, there was something that happened that time. I don't know, between him and Imam of Peace and Reno Mokri. So I can't remember what actually happened that time. I can't remember the politician that died during that Buhari regime, so it didn't cause a lot of controversy, and they were kind of like going back and front about the whole thing. And Suleiman actually blocked me during that time. He blocked me. Then Reno Mokri blocked me. Then I don't know what happened, but that was the first viral post I had, and that was one of the reasons why I locked my DM, because people came out like, oh yeah, I'm talking about a man of God. I think they came to my DM and started insulting me and started cussing me out. So I was like, let me just lock my DM because I don't want this kind of craziness around me. So I locked my DM. So newsflash, after some time he unblocked me, and I think 1 or 2 led to the controversy we have now.
Yeah. Do you think you're a troll?
I'm not a troll, definitely not.
Why not?
Because I don't come to post social media and comment sections or tweet at them to like, oh yeah, you fool, this is bigger than this person is crazy. I don't kind of troll people. What I actually do is like, when I read certain things from certain people, like let's say celebrities, regular influencers, or regular internet users, and I feel like I have an opinion, I'll just put it out there. And that's why I usually say no offense, no shades, because I don't want to be like, oh, I'm coming from a place of.
You can say no offense, I'm being true.
No, but if no.
So here's why I asked you the question. Sorry, and I'm not trying to be funny, because I actually had to Google what trolling is. And it says when someone posts or comments online to deliberately upset others. And it looks like a lot of your comments, right, under people's posts are intentional to upset them. I don't know if you post comments to hail people or praise people, but I want to say a good majority of your, you know, things that go viral and things that you say you continue to double down on were things, or are things that, you know, you want to get at this person so that, you know, isn't that intention? Be honest.
No, it's not, because like I said, it's not intentional. Those are personal opinions, and most of them, my personal opinions are backed up with facts, which is why sometimes I kind of reference things that have happened before, like the Grammys, for example, when people perform, do everything, and they don't win Grammys, for example, like what happened to Davido of recent. And what I do notice that I do have like a kind of like a hate train online. So even if I come out and just say something like justice is love, people think that I'm referencing Jesus or whatever. So I have a hate train. So whatever I say comes out as hate speech or kind of like trolling. For example, I'm going to give another example. Coming to something like Mohbad, for example, RIP to him. When I was hammering on that Mohbad issue, like why you guys still celebrating Mali, why he's not yet cancelled yet, and this and that, people would try to say, oh, you're chasing clout with it, and you were kind of like trolling Mali, and you're being a hater. Newsflash, when the thing later happened, people were like, oh, he said something about this before, and people were like, oh, I see where he's coming from now. So most of the time, my tweets are always vindicated, one way or the other, you understand? So I think people have this idea that whenever I say something, it's out of hate or it's out of clout. It's not out of, if I actually want to throw someone, I will at you and I will throw you full on. So those are the different opinion, but Nigerians see criticism as hate and they see personal opinions as trolling.
So everything you say is not intentional when you're typing them? Is what you're
saying? Not intentional. It's not intentional, because if I was a troll, I won't kind of like hate on you or criticize you, then give you praise later on.
How often do you give the praise?
If the person deserves it. If the person ends it.
So, I mean, I want to understand, you know, this idea, okay, even if you say you're not a troll and many other people disagree, you're definitely controversial, and you know that. Controversy can be for good or bad. You are controversial and you thrive on that. Is it something you are I mean, it's obviously something you're comfortable with, but how long do you plan to, continue this brand as this guy who's controversial? Whether it's pastors or apostles or politicians or celebrities, you're constantly there, putting yourself sometimes in conversations that maybe you don't need to be in. So that's being controversial because you want to give them or put out something that gets talked about. Everybody. I mean, virality is a drug.
No, it's not it. Like
virality is a drug.
I understand. I understand. But
there's that urge sometimes to say, okay, even if you're being constructive, you want to put something out there that says, maybe this one go enter.
No, it's not it, because like I said, I can just literally sit in my house right now. I can just come out in the morning and be like, oh, what can I put out here that will get people engaging, especially given the fact that I have a large following and I know that people are always anxious to what's it going to say next, what's it going to wear next, and that. I can just be like, okay, come out and just put one or two together and just drop it and people are going to react definitely, you understand? So it's not as if I don't see myself like a controversial person. I see myself like someone who's just living my truth online. So I don't necessarily have to come out and construct something or do something that will kind of anger people or get people's reaction. It is very easy for me to get people's reaction. I'm not going to lie to you. I can actually drop one thing now and just call out one celebrity and that's it.
Finish the person.
And the person will definitely react. But I don't want to be in a space where I look like a clown online, because I don't see myself as a clown. What I do is that if I see, when I wake up in the morning, I go to what was trending today, right? And I feel like this is a conversation I want to jump into, especially when it's a conversation that I already maybe I had offline, and maybe we discussed it with someone before. And thank God this thing have been brought to the internet. And I'll just drop my opinion there. But people feel like whatever I say, like I said, whatever I say is based on clout. You're just looking for clout. You want clout chase on whatever. You understand? So it's not about being controversial. And I don't see myself I'm doing this thing to sustain myself online. This is just me being me. So if I decide tomorrow I don't want to be online anymore, if you still see me offline, it's still the same thing I was discussing with you.
You can't live online. Are you not getting paid now? I mean, you're an influencer, right? You've gotten a few brands.
Yeah, no, I'm getting paid.
I'm sure Elon Musk is paying you as well.
Definitely, he's paying
so
no, but
it's good money.
No, it's good money, but I'm not doing it for the money, because I was even doing it before the Elon Musk came. And even if Elon Musk stopped paying me, and even if brands stop coming out, because I do turn down a lot of brands. You understand? So it's not about the money. So even if brands stop paying me and Elon Musk says, "Oh, I think you have to go," it's definitely it's going to reduce my paycheck in a way, but I don't rely on social media to survive.
Does it surprise you how, because you do, in spite of all these things, you do have people who like you.
Yeah,
right?
I have.
Do you have a fan base? Do you have a name first?
No, I don't think I don't know if I have fans. I won't say if I have fans, but I do know that if people like me, and even most of my haters are still fans. Because if you kind of keep up to everything I do, you are literally a fan.
Are you surprised at how maybe known you are now? I'm sure you go around, people know your name.
Yeah, definitely.
People recognize you.
Yeah,
does it surprise you, or is it something you're used to now?
I don't think I can get used to it, and frankly speaking, I don't even like it. I don't like the idea that I have to because every time when I step out of the house, I'm always on the nose mask. You understand? Because I don't want that. Oh, I know you from somewhere. You're that Regha who I see, because I don't know who I'm going to meet in public and be like, oh, finally I've caught you. You're supposed to say something about.
I was actually going to come to that. Has that ever happened? Because there's people who are controversial. We've seen it happen online where the next day we see them in a police station, they've been arrested, or they are making an apology. Or have you had incidents where you've been personally attacked or threatened in some way?
I get threats a lot, and even of recent people have told me that if I see you in Lagos, if I see you in Benin, if I see you in Ibadan, we're going to shoot you. And they put this kind of dove emojis, RIPs emojis. Some even put these guns and all these acts and all these things.
Does this scare you?
Sometimes it shakes me off, but whenever I get that kind of thing, I just go on my knees. I'm like, God, now you are there. And I kind of sometimes I screenshot and send it to other people I know. I need you guys to give me the confidence to continue doing what I'm doing, you understand? So I kind of get threat, but I've never walked up to someone or been in a public and someone be like, oh, I've seen you today, I'm going to beat you. But definitely I'm not going to stand there to wait for someone to be like, let me beat you. I can start shouting for help immediately, you understand? If possible, carry, if it's bottle, anyhow. Because I don't want to be a cry for help online. So that's the thing, but I do get threats on a regular basis.
But nothing personal yet, like physical or face-to-face?
It hopefully won't get to that.
But it hasn't happened yet?
No, it hasn't happened yet. It won't happen.
You talk a lot about celebrities, and I've always wondered, are there any celebrities you admire? Nigerian celebrities?
I kind of respect a few.
Who are those?
If I tell you that, if I tell you that they can use it to their advantage, so
It's not. I mean, I think it's only normal for everybody to have people they like. I don't think. Why would they use it to their advantage?
but they'll be like, oh, you can never tell. You know, people are kind of like corny these days. They'll be like, oh, since you like to, like for example, there was someone that I thought I was gonna like be friends with, and at the end of the day, he's still acting crazy, probably because I like said no to him or something. So I've had that situation before. So I think when people feel like, oh, you are friends with me, so when I need a request from you, when I tell you, you just like jump in on it.
So that means you have some principles.
I have principles,
Which is why you can mention the names and still say no. So who are the celebrities you like? Just give me one name.
No.
You don't have any celebrity you like?
I won't say like respect to some extent. Respect to some extent doesn't mean that I won't say I kind of like look up to them or admire them in any way, but I kind of like, okay, yeah, the speakers on certain issues, you understand, and I was at a point, I'll say like, let me just say, at a point I'll say, oh, I don't want to call the names. I don't want to call the name, because if I call the name, like I said, people are going to try to make it controversial or something. I don't want to call the name. But I few people I kind of like respect in the industry. But at the same time, I don't like look up to them, and I will still call them out if they kind of mess up. But there was someone I kind of like respected before, and when I challenged him in the election period, he got mad, he blocked me, and he was acting snobby, and that's why I don't give people that credit most of the time.
What's your plan for this social media thing? Because you might not have planned for it, but it's happened, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of people who become influencers and they start to evolve their brand and make it more formal. You know, you are saying you can do without the money. Well, the future is technology, whether we like it or not, and you can't necessarily completely avoid that space. Is there a plan to make, the Daniel Regha brand, more than what it is now?
Well, definitely yes, but for now I don't have anything specific in mind to like, okay, this is what I want to do with my platform. Because I think many people have reached out to me and be like, what do you want to do with your platform? Going to skis, going to modeling, act movies. There's so many things we have. People have even told me, why don't you be like a certified critic? Because people make money from it, you understand? And I think I'm going to be taking one day at a time, like just go with the flow for now. But I'm also grateful that I also have a platform. So whenever I decide that this is what I want to do, it's kind of easy. I don't have to reach out to them and feel like, oh, help me promote this or do this. So at the moment, like I say, most of the time I don't look at myself as a brand. I look at myself just as an individual that is just popular online. But I don't have like any fixed or any long-term goals now of what I want to do with my brand or my platform. But let's see, time will tell.
Yeah. Let's go to Nigeria as a whole now, because you're a young person in this country. Yeah. A lot of us know what's happening. You have had your back and forth a few times with politicians, and I just want to get your opinion as a Nigerian, with the situation of things in the country now. What are you feeling? I mean, you're saying you run a business as well on the side besides social media, so you must be feeling something about the economy of this country. What are your thoughts?
I feel bad. I feel angered. I feel disappointed in the kind of incompetent politicians we have now. And like sometimes I blame first of all, I blame INEC. To be honest, I blame INEC for not conducting a competent, credible election, because even the day I wanted to vote, I know what I passed through to just cast my one vote. The INEC, officers were just turning me left and right, you understand? So if not because of I said I was going to vote, I would have gone home. So I blame INEC first of all, Yakubu or whatever his name is, I blame him. Then I also blame Nigerians. I blame Nigerians a lot. And when I mean Nigerians, I would say I blame part of the youth, because at the end of the day, we already know we have useless politicians in power, right? I don't want to sugarcoat it. But the Nigerians are not even organized themselves, you understand? We keep on fighting. For example, if something happens in Lagos now, let's say like one local government now, they'll be like, let's go and pull out the election sheets. Who did they vote for here? Oh, they voted for Labour Party, they voted for PDP, they voted for APC. They start throwing blames, forgetting the people that are supposed to hold accountable, you understand? If that one is not the issue will be tribalism. So at the end of the day, we don't even have anything we're fighting for. We're just going back and forth, and this is something that's going to happen. Okay, look at the upcoming Edo State election, for example, now. People are not doing, BDN, so person is winning. Oh, everybody go for BDN, everybody go for APC just liberate change. I think at this moment, no one is supposed to even counting APC as a party. Personally, for me, I don't think I can take anyone that goes under the APC banner to contest.
Why is that?
APC. I can't cast my vote for anyone that is under APC now.
Let us say, why is that?
Because look at the state of the country. I'm going to blame APC obviously because they're the one in power. You understand? This is not about Emilokon. It's not about renewed hope agenda. This is about APC as a whole being a fucked up party. You understand? I'm still going to sorry. And I'm still going to blame those that also decamped from APC to PDP and Labour Party, because people are forgetting that the people that are still in Labour Party are made up of PDP and APC. So, like I said, I'm angry, and I'm not just angry at the politicians, I'm also angry at the youths. I'm also angry at Nigerians as a whole. We don't like ourselves. For example, look at the inflation going on, for example. Someone is going to come here and price something, and I just leave, and let me go and get money, and I'll come back and say the price have doubled. The same Nigerians. And on Sunday, we'll be in church shouting, and so what are we praying for? So I'm just angry. I'm angry at the situation of things. I'm angry at ourselves as the people. We don't have a voice. We don't have unity, and we're always allowing politicians to play with our emotions. It's very easy for them.
Yeah, sorry, the F word you used there. Just, I mean, okay. We're on live TV on national broadcasts. Yeah. Just apologies for that if you're watching. And I hear you on anger, and a lot of youth I hear angry. So, like I said in the earlier segments, we're seeing pockets of protests happening across the country, small pockets, but what do you do with that anger now? Are you channeling it into holding people accountable? What are we supposed to do? Because we hear Gen Z every day. Gen Z is taking over the country. Gen Z is the largest demographic. What is supposed to happen with that anger, you think?
I think, like I said, one of the first things we have to do is, first of all, question ourselves and like reevaluate ourselves as people. Because for now, I think everybody's protecting. Yes, we're protecting, we're calling out the bad government, we're doing this and that, but what are we doing ourselves to fix ourselves as people? You understand? Like I said, when something happens, we're always quick to throw blames at politicians, we're always quick to throw blames at we're always quick to bring the religious aspect into it. Like, oh, Muslims doesn't take it, Christians are this and that, you understand? We're always quick to play the tribal card. So at the point, it's not just about protesting, because we can protest from now till next year, and if we're not good people, if we're not good to ourselves, we are going nowhere. You understand? So that's one of the things that I think we should focus on ourselves more. If, for example, we have like, okay, now, not even for example, we have incompetent leaders, for example. If, for example, we ourselves unite as one, like, okay, government is doing this, but we can do this to help ourselves out, I think we will have a better nation, even without all this politicians. But they know that they can keep us divided. So they are not even moved. So even if we protest from now to next year, you understand, nothing is going to happen because we ourselves are not united. We are not even fighting one fight. For example, we have Joduduwa people fighting for Yoruba nation, I think. We have Biafra IPOB fighting for Biafra. I'm sorry to say, fighting for. So you see, division is already there. Then we have people that are doing Yoruba people, Yoruba versus Igbo versus Hausa, and the rest of them. So we are not united. Even if we carry flags everywhere and be like, oh, let's call out this person, they don't care. If Tinubu comes out now, for example, and says, let's go to the market and distribute 1,000 naira to these people, people will still forget they're suffering. They will take the 1,000. I mean, on election, they put still votes.
I guess. Well, you make valid points. Let's go back to you now before we close out on the day.
Yeah.
What's your plan for the year going ahead? Because I always wonder, you find people who go into influencing, they start branching out into other things. I wonder if you've gotten offers, for example, to do other things in entertainment, whether it's in media, whether it's in acting. I don't know. Are there plans for that? Because as you get more famous, there's probably demands for things like this. Are you looking at those those sorts of offers?
Well, I think, like I said right now, I don't have any kind of like a fixed idea of what I want to do on my platform. But at the same time, I feel like it's not just about making plans nowadays, because you don't even know where the economy is heading to. You understand? So you can say, oh, I want to do something like this. No, definitely not. I mean, people that are even outside the country, they're not even enjoying themselves, like to the way they kind of portray it online, you understand? Yeah, they're in a better situation, but at the same time, if you leave the country and your people are still here, you're literally still in Nigeria, because whatever happens, you will always be on high BP and always be on high alert. So the thing is that I don't have what I want to do my platform now, but I will just see how the year goes. If opportunity arises, not to leave the country anyway, like something good I feel like I want to dive into, I would dive into it. And if I also have something to do, or like I have plans to do it, I don't think it's something I can like broadcast here, because like I say, you don't know who is watching, and village people are everywhere. So
yeah. So do you find it offensive sometimes when people say, oh, this one is just jobless, all he does is, post online? Do you think that's a valid representation of you as a jobless guy who's just looking for celebrities to attack?
Well, jobless guy got me here, obviously, so I don't feel offended. Like I said, everyone has an opinion. Because sometimes I feel like, oh, can't you just keep quiet? But at the same time, I feel like people are not saying what I need to hear. You understand? So since I have the platform, these are things I want to like contribute to. And when people are giving me all kind of name poverty influencer, cho, and the rest of them, I don't feel offended by it. That is their opinion. Whatever they think about me is none of my business. And some people are going to talk regardless. Even if I come out and start doing things they want me to do, they will still find it to criticize it. So I'm not offended by it. They should even talk. I like the way they're even talking.
What do you think the future of, because it looks like there's a new segment now of influencing that is like social commentary, which is probably maybe where I can categorize you. People like Very Dark Man, you guys are sort of social commentators.
We are not the same.
/ influencers. Why are you not the same?
We are not the same because I speak from an uncompromised point of view. What I think anyway, I feel like I don't need people to like pay me checks or do me something to like say something. I don't know if Black Man kind of stands for anything in particular. Because I think there was a time he said there are some celebrities he can't call out based on certain things. I don't know why, you understand? So he drops comments, obviously. I wouldn't say whether he's a critic or not, but I don't like the idea of people saying, oh, he's like Black Man or Black Man is like him. I think we're two different people. He's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing. But the difference between me and him, I think he's taking the influencing as a full-time job. You understand? There are some things that I feel like I said, there are some conversations. For example, like Davido's, what is the name of this guy? Is it Israel they call him? Israel DMW or DWM? I don't know. Israel, the one he had controversy with when he had issues with his wife. I didn't come out to address the issue. People were like, what's your opinion on it? What's your opinion? So it's not every conversation I jump into. There's conversation I feel like I don't just have to talk about this thing, but probably it's either the conversation is not reasonable enough for me to jump into, or the people that are having that issue are not worth it for me, you understand? But at the same time, we are not the same, and commentary of a thing, I think people have tried to dive into it because people think like I used commentary to like come up to where I am now. It's not even about it. People actually follow my comments, for example. People be like, oh, people say you are very controversial. I'm not controversial. And I'm going to give one example again. For example, like the issue with Suleiman, for example, again, I'm going to come to that conversation. People are like, oh, you are doing you're talking anyhow. And Suleiman, when I first made the issue about that Suleiman issue, when I said, give us the names of people who you feel like are responsible for your attack, right? He responded to me. He said, "What do I need names for?" You understand? He said, "I want public. I want general public." So he slammed me. The tweet is still there. He slammed me, and he said he has given the name to the police. And I called out the police severally about these things, right? I think about 2 or 3 times. He didn't say that. Probably people didn't remember that. So when I asked him again for the names, he was like, "Have I ever asked for a name?" I'm like, "What are you saying? Because I've asked for a name before. You shone me down." And people were there, you shone me down. So when I asked for the name again, you are not saying that I never asked for the name. So you are not contradicting yourself. You understand? So those are the kind of things I kind of like when I say certain things. It'll be like, oh, it's just about comment. It's not just about comment. These are things I feel like I want to say. I can say offline. These are things I can say to people's face. I don't know if Dark Man can do the same thing. Like, it's not just about, because I've never seen me carry ring lights and like, let's have beef online. I won't do that. It's not, I don't think it's something that is wise enough for me to do.
Thank you very much, Daniel Regha.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything you continue to pursue, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Likewise.
And like I always say, you can follow the conversation on social media. Please use the hashtag Rubbin when you send us a message. I'll see you next Sunday.